Today's video is actually a compilation of several videos dating back all the way to September. I get to preview a Lambro, which, well, no, it's not a Lambo, it's a Lambro, but a very unique vehicle. We get to go around that. I actually get to drive it. It's pretty cool. Please don't run me over. Thank you. Also, it's a unique piece of advertising for a friend of mine and his business. The second thing we get to do is look at a midship runabout, which in the United States is an MR2. This is a great vehicle. Came in the shop the other day. It was the customer's brother's, and I think it had 30,000 miles on it, and it's in incredible shape. It's amazing. You don't see them in this kind of shape, and it's pretty much original. It's a little bit of mods just to make it more drivable. We'll look at those two things. Cue the banjo.
A bit more.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining me. Today, I'm with a Lambro. All right. This customer came in the shop a couple weeks ago, got an inspection of this car. I had to do a piece on this thing. This is an Italian-made Machines Works, and it started in the 20s by Ferdinando Incensente. Now, after the war, Italy was basically destructed, right? Financially, it was in the pits. And when countries come out of wars like that and they need to rebuild, they need vehicles that can transport goods and transport themselves. And they need to do it cheaply, and they need to do it reliably, or at least have a serviceable, easily serviceable vehicle. And that's where this fit in. In 1949, they started putting on beds to their Lambretta scooters. That went from 49 to 59. And 57, they put a cab on top of it. They were running 25cc engine motors in it, and they sufficed. Now, in 59 and 60, they went to another naming convention, and they went after the size of the engines. They went from 25cc to 175cc. They had two versions of that, a Series 1 and a Series 2. And the Series 2 was more after driver comfort. That's right, I said driver comfort. In 63, they added a 200cc model to it. Moving along in 69, they moved and they changed the cab design a little bit. It's more angular. If you look at the 65s to 68s, the cabs were more rounded, and I believe the headlights had changed. They were round headlights. The 450s had a single headlight. The 550s had a singular or double headlight system to them. In 69, they changed this to a more angular design. They also added some more creature comforts. I don't know when they stopped making these, but I think it was in the early 70s. My friend Owen, he owns this car, and he runs, it's pretty good. It has some library to his pizza shop. And we're going to go to one of his pizzas, his organizations, and one of his events where he cooks some pizzas. I can't wait for that. I don't eat much pizza, but when I do, I eat all of it. So he's going to tell us a little bit about what he's done to set this thing up. One of the unique things I believe is, and he can go more into it, I believe these were all pull starts from the beginning. And now they have a conversion, because when it came to my shop, it was a electric start. And he can tell a little bit about that. Now behind me is a Piaggio Epe. It's a 1952 model. It still has the pull start to it, and it's been, as I can see it, renovated and restored. I would love to ride in that thing. I believe Owen's going to let me ride in this a little bit. We'll get some drive-by shoots, and let's have Owen come in and talk a little bit about the thing. Hey Owen, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Tell me a little bit about your stuff.
Appreciate it. So yeah, I'm a British guy that's started a small pizza business here in Houston. This is an Italian truck that came across in the 60s, so it was an original Italian owner. It was imported new from Italy, and it was used to operate his orange farm in Florida. So this is a real Italian survivor. The orange color is pretty cool for Houston as well, given the whole Astros. So kind of thought it was a great fit.
I didn't think about that. But, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of that orange Lamborghini kind of Hurricane, classic color you might see there. Pretty awesome little truck for just moving my pizza equipment around. Really just part of the brand. So yeah, it's an old vehicle. 1969 it was built, so it's about 52 years old now. I've never really kind of maintained and built one of these before, so I've done a lot of learning in the first 4 or 5 months of owning this. But mainly cosmetic stuff. It's not in perfect shape. We've put the livery on, done a lot of underbody work. It had new brakes lines put in, which was a very important part of the mechanicals.
Do you do all the servicing yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's a single cylinder, 2-stroke engine. You obviously got a single cylinder, one plug to kind of maintain and service. The electric start's been a real nice feature. You know, pull starts on perhaps the older models like this. So super convenient, but just a little bit temperamental on things like getting the air and fuel mix going. Sometimes the engine's racing a little bit and you need to tune it in.
What kind of, so this has a CVT transmission on it, or does it have a clutch on it?
Yeah, it's a clutch, so it's a stick. We can take a look in the cabin in a little bit, and it's a 4-speed. It's got the reverse gear in there. I grew up in the UK, so I grew up driving stick, so it's not too much of an adjustment.
Yeah, that's the thing that's all changing. All my cars are sticks.
Yeah.
Except for, well, okay, except for the Trans Am down there.
Okay.
They didn't offer that in a standard, so I just settled on that. But all my cars, even my daily driver, my F-250 is a standard. That's dying. It's the great security, the greatest theft security you can have.
There you go, yeah, no one else uses it. This thing, I'd challenge you to try and drive this first time, so you need instruction.
Well, even when you brought it into the shop, you had to come out and tell me where reverse was.
That's right, yeah.
And so forth. So it was a challenge for me too. So if you let me, I want to see, we'll get it in the parking lot.
All right, we'll put a wager on it, see if you can do it. So.
Okay. I love it. What other modifications have you done to it? Like, is this standard right here? Is this how they are?
I mean, it had a pretty rough life on the orange farm. It sat for a little bit, so we got some cosmetic stuff going on here. Yeah, the door sills, things like that. The bottom driver's side has had some fiberglass repair work. But, you know, all the chassis was mechanically sound, just really perhaps where some of that water had sat. On the back bed as well, I think it's a non-original bed. Around the back, there's some non-original parts as well, but pretty much the engine, all the mechanicals inside are original. It could be perhaps restored one day, but I think it'd take a lot of money.
What is something like, what is the top speed on here? And if this is kilometers per hour, correct?
Yeah, that is kilometers per hour.
Okay.
So I think downwind speeds maybe around 40 kilometers. So we'll see. With an empty bed, maybe about 40. So.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's well. I think you have testicles of steel to drive this thing around on some of these public roads, man. I think this is awesome. What is probably the most busy road you've had this thing on?
It's probably Washington Avenue. I've kicked between your shop, my house, and Holler Brewery. So it's like maybe a mile each kind of shot. So yeah, this road, probably the driving and filming we're going to do this morning is the most driving it's ever had in my ownership.
Okay.
No highways.
Yeah, no highways. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine this thing on the highway. It'd be just scary. Okay, so now that we're away from the noise and the car show and stuff like that, I wanted to go over some of the details of this thing a little bit more in detail, actually. As I mentioned, they started making these things 49, and they had the F, B, C, and D from 49 to 59. The F stands for Furgone in Italian, which means van. At 57, they did the FBC, which the C meant for cab, and that's when they started putting cabs on top of these things. This particular model is the 1969 550V.
Yeah, 550V.
And Owen's going to show us some of the details on this because as I mentioned before, the V had the steering wheel, the M had the handlebars.
That's right.
And they did another export model, the ML, I believe it was.
Yep.
But what's really interesting about this, starting with this particular vehicle, that's when in '69 is when they first moved the engines out of the cab. So from the start of this to 1968, this engine was underneath your seat. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah. Never taken a ride in one, but if you saw the little guy behind us on the street earlier, that's where the engine is in that thing. More noise and heat and smells, I guess.
And we had a couple shots of him pull starting it.
That's right,
too.
yeah.
And we could get a shot of the electric start on here.
Okay.
What's really interesting about this, I thought, is this is the heater.
That's right, that is the heater. I've not used it too much since owning that in Houston, maybe in the winter if I want to breathe some cabin fumes. So
over here, this is the actual head right here.
Yep.
Which the piston's going in and out of, and it really just has a shield around the head that heats up, heat rises.
That's right.
And comes up through this tube, and then you have a vent into here that you just open and close. That's outstanding.
Really safe, yeah.
Spare tire over here.
Yep.
Obviously this lifts up. Is this, and did you say this came from an orange farm, and did it come with this cab on it, or
That's
this
right,
bed on
yeah,
it?
this is the original bed. The bed wasn't too bad condition. The sides are the original. The back gate, when I got it, had one of the Piaggio, so I've stripped it out just for my use. Okay, yeah, so we're in the 1969 Lambro 550V with many of the comfort features. We've talked about the heating system. Of course, we got the Ram Air windows here, which have been slightly modified and repaired. Nice comfy leather seat here in the middle. You can probably tell we've got a manual 4-speed gearbox with also reverse that is kind of a real awkward out and downwards movement, but you can get it in there. The gas can is actually on the dashboard. That is not my glove compartment. That is the gas can. Working windscreen wiper. Above we've got a nice little light, which was a new feature I think in the late 60s. But you'll also probably notice that there's this big lump here. This is actually where the scooter handlebars used to be on the pre-1969 models. So a big feature and change for the 69 was this steering wheel offset for the drivers and passengers' comfort, essentially. So pretty basic. It's a stick shift, so if you're not familiar driving one, it's going to be a little bit unfamiliar. But I've grown up in the UK where stick was the norm, so.
Yeah, cool. All right, so if I remember right, turn ignition on, turn the key on, clutch, starter button, thing starts right up. I'm gonna try to put this thing in reverse. Park brake off. Got it in reverse, which is this little lever right here. You have to have it in first gear and move the reverse lever over and back up, back in first, still in reverse. There we go. Now I'm in first. First gear. Second gear. First gear is really short. Third gear says I'm going between 25 and 30 kilometers an hour. Needles bouncing all over the place. But still, can you imagine delivering product? Second gear in this thing in Italy's roads. Now I've been in Italy and I've driven in Italy. And they're nuts. I really didn't see too many cars that weren't banged up. I mean, dents in them, dump bumpers, the whole 9 yards. I don't think they give a crap in Italy. And lanes are a complete suggestion, especially around the roundabouts. The roundabouts I went around lanes were just a laughable suggestion. Didn't even happen. So could you imagine going in and out of traffic in this thing? Quite underpowered, I would think. Your whole day and working in this. Now the seat's not bad, it's cushioned. There's no real complaints or anything, but you're gonna sit on this thing all day long. And you know, the suspension on it, it's a function. This thing's purely functional. But what a treat to drive. And here we have vent windows again. Remember my comments on vent windows in one of my previous videos. Vent windows are like the greatest invention known to man for me. And why we got rid of them, I have no idea. It's 60 degrees, 65 degrees today, and all this air is just rushing into this cabin. It's awesome. I can imagine the temporal climate of Italy, running around, delivering your product, getting a cold breeze the whole time. It can't be. It could have been that bad of a job. But what a unique piece of machinery. It's got some rust on it around through here and stuff. What do you expect? But overall, this thing is well put together, and Owen does all the mechanical work himself. When he figures out something that breaks, and I'm sure this is going to break, the wiring especially, he figures it out himself. So he's quite ingenious and mechanical, even though he says he's not, he is, because he's done a good job on this. And I really thank him for letting me do this. I'm going to pull up here in front of the camera. Third gear, fast forward gear. Yeah, this thing's awesome. I love it. Oh, brakes, 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 brakes. Hey, it stops all right. Okay, I'm going to try to find neutral. I think I'm in neutral. Nope, I'm not. I'm in neutral. Figured it out. Doors. And the ignition switch. So, once again, thanks to Owen. Thank you, man. I really appreciate you letting me do this. Owen has your pizza shop, Gangsta Pizza, right?
Gangsta pop-up, yeah.
The Gangster pop-up. And I've been to one of his events. It's been great. My wife and I went, and is like you said, you went to the event yesterday and you got some really good compliments on your dough, better than some of the best pizza places here in town.
That's right. Yep.
So that's a huge compliment. There is tons of pizza places and restaurants in this town, and you can't throw a rock without hitting a restaurant in Houston, Texas. To get that kind of compliment from bakers themselves is really stand up. And I can attest to it. We had a great pizza. I've had 2 great pizzas from Owen. If you have an event, a private event that you want to do, seriously consider looking him up and having him do the pizzas for you there. For catering, it'll be a great deal. You can order. He's got a large selection of pizza, and every one of them is outstanding. Everybody will be happy. They can go up to the desk, and you make it. He makes it right in front of you and lets you know when it's done. You come get it. It's a great service, and it's a great time for them to do it. We had a great time. I've got some of that in my video, and I'm going to put it in there. So please consider it, and thank you so much, Owen, again, for letting me do this.
Pleasure, Scott. Thank you.
It's been a pure joy. I know I'm supposed to show you an MR2 in this video, but I'm already at 17 minutes on the Lambro, so I'm going to cut it off. I'll tease you a bit. That's the MR2 that we were looking at. Beautiful car, and I'll put it in the next video. Also, I've got stickers. Come to the front desk at the shop. I can give you some there. We have them at the front desk, or hit me up on YouTube with some contact information, and I will send you a couple stickers. Thanks. Catch you next time.